Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to Radio FM 88 Australia. We're broadcasting from the studios in Brisbane, Australia. Our co-host, of course, is in Cape Canaveral in the United States. And our guest is also in Florida. And without further ado, I'll hand you over to Elise.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, Patrick. Thank you for being
Hello.
here. Thank you for visiting with us. We're always so grateful. And today we have Patrick Leddy. He is a spiritual healer, he's an angelic healer, and a psychic medium. And I met Patrick at a get together in Sarasota, Florida. And he actually recognized me from YouTube, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to have you on the show." And so here he is, just working with angels, and his story is quite interesting. So, Patrick, welcome.
Yeah,
Tell us all
thank you.
about you, and of course, how did you come to be an angelic healer? And give us all the details because we have plenty of time. So,
I'll give you all the juice.
okay, great. So it's all yours.
All right. So it started back when I was married about 15 years ago. Almost, well, it's now 18 years. Wow, I'm losing track of time. So my wife, for my birthday, my 50th birthday, and she got me a reading with a psychic medium here in Venice, Florida. And I did not believe in mediums. I did not believe in psychics, none of that stuff. It was all foreign to me. So I reluctantly did it. You know, it was my wife. So I said, sure, I'll come. And when I walked in, there was a board with 9 different mediums on there. They had their profiles up, and I kept looking at the board saying, wow, who am I going to pick? You know, there was women, there was men. So I picked the oddest looking character I could find, the one right in the middle. And his name was Richard Blanchard. He's actually a pretty famous psychic medium in Florida. And Richard was slam dunk busy. So I had to wait a little while to get in to see him. So I just walked around the shop and looked at crystals and everything. So I finally get in there. And as soon as I get around the corner, Richard looks up at me and he goes, my, what do we have here? Right away, that just kind of like set me off. I was like, wait a minute. I just walked in the room. Why is this guy saying that? So he said, I asked him, he said, well, when you walked into the room, you brought in a whole entourage of angels and guides, and all these people came in with you. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I really didn't. I didn't understand any of it. So he said, please sit down. And the first thing the guy tells me to do is to put your hands out like this, palms up, hands out. Right away in my head, I'm going, wow, why is he making me do this? So he puts his hands over my hands, and all of a sudden I feel this energy. It was like electricity. It felt like he was zapping me somehow, and I couldn't figure it out. So I pulled my hands back very quickly because it kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I looked at the guy, and he sits back and he starts to laugh. And he said, did you feel that? I said, yeah, that was pretty cool. How'd you do that? He goes, oh, that wasn't me, my friend. That was you. And I couldn't believe him. I didn't believe a thing he was saying at that point. He said, well, you're a healer. I said, well, what is a healer? And he starts to explain to me what a healer does and everything. And then he looks at me with this smirk on his face and he goes, you don't believe a word I'm saying, do you? And I was like, sorry, no, I don't. So Richard, you know, in true Richard fashion, he just looked at me. He says, okay, I'm gonna prove to you that I am the real deal. And he said, I have a young man here. He's about 18 or 19 years old, very, very young soul. He's on the other side, and he has 2 messages for you. So I'm trying to think of who do I know on the other side. And he said, the first thing he wants to say to you is thank you for being his friend. So I still am clueless as who this might be. Second thing he said was, I apologize for taking my own life. And I see the big letter K. I was like, oh my gosh, I got my friend Kerry, who committed suicide back in high school. He thought nobody liked him. I was his only friend. And he looked at me like, okay. I'm like, lucky guess. You know, I really didn't want to hear it. So he pulled my father in, said some things. The third person he pulled in really struck me because he said, this guy is huge. He's like 6'10". I knew immediately who that was. My Uncle Charlie was very, very tall. And he said he's a relative of yours. And I'm seeing the letter C. So I said, yeah, his name is Charles. and he wants to say something to you as well. He said, psychic mediums run on your mom's side of the family, and no one talked about it. It was kept secret for decades. I said, well, that would probably explain why my mother always knew what we were doing as kids growing up. She always figured us out. And so this 15-minute reading turned into an hour and 20 minutes. I can remember Richard's staff coming in saying, hey, we got all these people getting upset because they're waiting. He's like, I don't care. This guy's not leaving my site. So he kind of explained what I could do and what I'm capable of doing. I still didn't understand it at all. So I left there and it was like, all right, great. Thanks for the reading. And, we went home. I didn't think about it for years. And all of a sudden I found myself on the end of a divorce. And the day I left, and I'm serious, the day I left, my hands popped. My energy was on fire. I didn't understand it. So my hands got really hot. I'm in my new house and I'm touching my face. I'm like, what is going on with my hands? So I reached out to a friend of mine that I knew was a medium. Her name is Julie Brooks. And I said, Julie, I need to see you. And she's like, I know you do. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, I got some messages for you. And I'm like, okay. So Julie brings me down to another place in Venice called the Power of One, where I met Tom Amir. Tom was the proprietor here and he was a healer. And they brought me to a Tuesday night circle. So this Tuesday night circle was pretty interesting because it was about 30 to 40 psychic mediums. And I had no idea who these people were. And they brought me in, they sat me down in the circle. I was sitting next to Julie and I noticed everybody was staring at me the whole night. It was very uncomfortable. I was like sitting in the corner squirming like a 2-year-old in a crowd. So all of a sudden, near the end of this meeting, Tom looks at me and he goes, hey, the new guy, what's your name? I said, Patrick. He goes, you're awfully quiet. Why are you so quiet? I said, well, I'm a little intimidated because everybody's staring at me. And all of a sudden, this girl, Elaine Roden, she puts her hand up and she goes, ooh, can I tell him why we're all staring at him? And he said, yes. So Elaine stood up and said, I met Tom and I saw his aura, which was quite fascinating because it's called the rainbow aura. It constantly changes colors. And she said, tonight, I got to meet a second person that has a rainbow aura, and I'm talking to him right now, and that would be you. So I was like, what's a rainbow aura? I have no idea. I had no clue. So they all started laughing, and I agreed to go back and meet with them again, and I did. And as I got to know these people, they started telling me like, yeah, you have these wonderful gifts that you really need to explore, and you need to start learning how to use them. And I told them, I have no idea how to use these gifts. And I finally got down to one night where Tom asked for a volunteer to get a healing in this big circle. A woman stood up and she sat in the middle, and Tom asked me to get up and help him. And I was mortified because I had no idea what to do. I've never done a healing before in my life. And Tom said, just come up here. He said, put your hands like this behind her head. Don't touch her. Stay about an inch away. And then visualize the energy just coming through the back of your head and through out your arms and into her and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. He says, oh, and close your eyes when you do it. I said, all right. So I closed my eyes, and the next thing I know, I'm wobbling like this. I'm just going back and forth, and I feel something really powerful coming through me. And the next thing I know, I opened my eyes. I didn't know was that 20 minutes had elapsed. Tom is back in his chair hysterically laughing. And I'm like, I look at him and I go, were you there the whole time? He goes, dude, as soon as you closed your eyes and you put your hands up, your energy was so powerful, it pushed me backwards. I had to sit down. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. He goes, you're a natural. Trust me. We're going to show you. So from that night forward, people heard about me and they all started coming to the meetings. This meeting went from like 30 to 40 people to like 60 people overnight. And they're all like, who's this new dude that's got this gift? I want to meet him. And so I started to practice. They showed me what to do, and I started channeling energy into people. It was pretty wild. And one of the mediums there, her name is Marty Tornicio. She's a wonderful friend of mine. She's kind of like my guardian angel. She is amazing as a psychic medium. She came up to me one day at the Power of One down there in Venice, and she said, hey, I would like to work with you and tutor you, to kind of show you what to do. You're a medium, you got all the gifts, you got all the clairs. The girl that I mentioned earlier, Elaine, had tested me for all the clairvoyances and clairsentience, clairaudience. I have them all. And so Marty came into my room that I was doing the healings when, and she would just watch me, and she would teach me how to use my my clairs. And one lady, one day, I can't remember her name now. It's been so long. But anyway, she gets up after the healing. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you just channeled Christ consciousness." And I looked over at Marty and I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And she's like, "You channeled Christ right into me. I saw him. I spoke to him. He was here. That's amazing. How did you do that?" And Marty just looked at me and she went, "Yeah, you did." I was like, "Wow, what does this mean?" You know, like, I have no idea. I thought I was just channeling, you know, Archangel Michael and Raphael. She says, "No." She's like, "You're much more powerful than that. And you're just going to have to learn as you go." So years went on. I worked there for about 8 years. And the first time I did a Psychic Saturday, the owner, Tom, said, "You know, I'm not going to support you in this. And you're not going to make any money doing this," because he was a little jealous of what I could do. And he said, "You could do it, but you can't charge any money."
Oh,
I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." You know, I came in on a Saturday and there was like 20 people there. I think I healed about 5 people. And it was great. You know, I didn't make any money, but I just did it because I wanted to. Well, the next month, Psychic Saturday came around. There was 20 people outside the store at 8 o'clock. And Tom came in. He said, "Who are all these people? Who are they? Why are they here so early?" And they're like, "Well, they all signed up for Patrick." Now I'm getting paid. He's like, "Well, you can charge them if there's that many people." So it only went from like 9 o'clock to 2. I was there till 4:30 that day, healing people, just doing healings. And, you know, the next thing I know, 8 years went by. It was just an amazing process. I owe a debt of gratitude to Tom Amir. He's passed on now. But Tom was very ill, too, at that time. And he had kidney failure. And I worked on Tom all the time. I think I kept this man alive for about 7 years because he should have been dead a long time ago. And his numbers actually went from like very, very low, like 3, 4, 5, 6, way down there, to I got him up to like 14%. And they just kept saying it was because of the energy I was channeling. So I really didn't understand it at that time. I understand it now. But after 8 years of working there, I kind of had a falling out with Tom. He was getting a little paranoid. That's right before COVID happened, with everything shutting down, and Tom was very scared about getting sick. So he actually closed the store, and he passed away about 4 years after that. So it was very sad to see him go. And in that 4-year time frame, I stopped doing healings. I was really upset, you know, that we lost Tom, and I just got burnt out. I didn't want to do it anymore. And until this happened, and this is where the story starts to get really interesting. So I went to another place in Sarasota. It was called the Higher Realm, and this was run by Natalie Sutherland. She's a pretty famous psychic medium here, and she would run a show in Sarasota on Sundays and Wednesday nights, where she would do a live audience, just like you remember when Montel Williams used to have Sylvia Brown on.
Yeah.
She would read the audience. Well,
yeah.
This is exactly what she did. So a friend of mine that I worked with back at Tom's place worked there, a shaman, Mick McManus, great guy. So Mick saw someone that knew me, and he said to say hi and invited me down to one of these programs. So I walked in with a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine, and I said to her, I said, "Well, if this medium's any good, she might pick up on what I can do, maybe. I don't know. We'll see." So I'm sitting in the back, all the way in the back. I had an angel medallion on, and about 50 minutes goes by in an hour show. So I'm looking at my watch and I'm laughing. I'm like, "Ha, she didn't pick me." And I'm looking at my friend this way, and all of a sudden I hear this, "And I'm coming to you, the gentleman in the back wearing the angel medallion." I was like, "Oh, that's me." She freaked out on stage. She's pointing at me like this with her hand up, and she's looking at me. She's saying, "My God, my hairs are standing up on my arm right now while I'm looking at you." They're telling me, Spirit's telling me what an empath you are, how empathic you are. She's like, "You're about to make me cry live on stage. And oh my God, you're about to cry." And I nodded. And she says, "Why are you going to cry?" I said, "Well, because I feel the loss of your child from 2 years ago. Well, she busted out crying because it was true. And she's like, in 22 years of being on stage live, I've never had anybody make me cry like that. That's an amazing gift in itself. She goes, but now they're telling me what you can do. And they're also telling me that you're not using your gift. Then they're not happy about this. And I was like, oh, well, not my problem. So she said for me to wait at the end of the show. She kind of told the audience what I could do. The whole audience turned around and looked at me. It was a little embarrassing. I wasn't in the public spotlight at that point. And I was very shy. So at the end of the show, she came up to me and she said, you know, that was just an amazing thing that you were able to do to me. And did you know anything about me before? I was like, no, I've never met you before. She's like, you really got that message? I'm like, yeah, I picked it up empathically. I picked up that you had lost a child. And I was right. So she's like, well, I'd love to get to know you. So I started to come to her shows. Like I said, it was on every Wednesday and every Sunday. And one day I was there and she picked on me a lot in the audience. She would love reading me and people would always turn around and stare like I used to argue with Jesus all the time. So people would laugh in the audience like, wow, this guy's the one that argues with Jesus. Okay. So at the end of her show, she channels Mary Magdalene live. And I'm like, really? Oh, yeah, it was real. I mean, she starts channeling Mary Magdalene and I'm looking at her. My friend's like, you're crying. I'm like, she's really channeling Mary Magdalene, like her spirit. I can tell, I can see, you know, and one day she was doing it and she abruptly stops and she turns right to me and she goes, Yeshua speaks. And I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, this is coming for me. I know it. And she turned her whole body, eyes closed, keep in mind, and looked right at me. And she said, my brother. That's how it started. That was him talking to me. Didn't use my name, called me my brother. And he laid into me. And I was so embarrassed and so humiliated because he just kept saying how disappointed he was in me that I'm not using my gift, how upset he was that I kicked him out of my life. Basically, I did. I didn't have a room in my heart for him. And he was saying this. And this is in front of a 70 person audience. I was humiliated so bad. I felt like this tall. And I was actually like crying because he has a way with words, you know, and man, I got up and left there. I was so embarrassed. And I just kept arguing with him for the next 2 weeks over and over because I could. I have a very interesting communications with him when I channel. And so I went back after a couple of weeks because I'm a glutton for punishment. And at the end of the show, once again, Yeshua speaks. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I just came back one night. But this time it was different. This time and I'll never forget what he said. This is exactly what he said to me. I never will forget this. He's like, I want to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to kneel beside you and pray with you. And also thank you for allowing me back into your heart of hearts. I love you, my brother, and I'll never leave your side ever. I was like, whoa, what do you say to that? I was just bawling my eyes out in tears. I couldn't believe that that's the message she was channeling. The whole audience turned around again and looked at me like, really, dude? Like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, well, yeah, it was me. I was arguing with them, but I'm not arguing with them anymore. Well, that Christ consciousness she was channeling jumped out of her body, jumped into me that night, right there, right in front of everybody. I was like, oh my God, you're inside me, aren't you? He's like, yep, get up, leave now. We have to talk. And he did. I went home. He spent the night with me subconsciously. You know, I got a phone call about an hour later from Natalie asking if I was okay. I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, he's here with me and yeah, we're having a powwow. That's what I call him. And he explained to me what he wanted me to do and that I signed up for this and that he marked me before I came back onto this earth plane. I talk about this a lot. The letter M on my hand. I have 3 vertical stripes under my left pinky, my right pinky, I'm sorry. And on my left hand, I've got a capital A because I'm an angelic. And he showed that to me. He said, you were marked before you even came back here and you agreed to do this work. And you are going to do this work. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Was kind of
dang. Woo!
I was like, okay. I can say this: Jesus has a wonderful sense of humor.
Yeah, I've heard that.
He works with me. There's part of the joke right there, because I was not the nicest guy growing up. I mean, I had a rough life. And I asked him that night, I said, I need to ask you this question. He says, what is it? And I said, why did I have to go through all this childhood stuff that I went through? I mean, it was brutal. My childhood was really tough. And as a young adult, I turned to drugs and alcohol. I was a mess because of what happened to me in childhood. I was so physically, mentally, sexually abused, everything. And he said, well, he goes, those were all lessons. I was like, you could have sent me a memo. He says, no. He says, no, you had to experience that to make you the empath, to give you the empathy, to make you the healer that you are going to become now. You had to experience that. Oh, and by the way, you signed up for that. I almost fell on the floor. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, no, I'm not kidding. Not funny either. And he goes, and we applaud you for dealing with it. You made it, you survived. And I did survive. And that's like basically how I got into where I am now. And that was 5 years ago. Since then, I have exploded onto the scene. I mean, the healings that I do now are just I'm all over the globe. I do a lot of stuff in Australia too, by Zoom. It's been a real cool trip because I know what my assignment is. I just retired from my regular job, so I can do this full time, which I've been doing full time for the last 5 years. But I'm a busy man. But that's basically how I started, and it just keeps expanding constantly. I'm constantly expanding. I have relatives on the other side. My sister in particular, she was up there for 19 years, came through in a reading, and she kind of told me what's coming in the future, because they can see the future up there, as we all know.
Yeah.
And I just kind of responded to her like, there's no way. And she's like, yeah, way. This is why I'm getting in touch with you. She was coming in my dreams and poking me and trying to get my attention, because I am clairvoyant, and but I don't use my clairvoyance. I try to explain to people that my clairvoyance, it would be like on the floor, where my healing energy is way up there on the ceiling. So they just clash. It doesn't really work too well. An interesting thing that I can do is I do a one-touch program where I get in front of a live audience. I kind of tell the story like I just told now. And then I invite people up for a one-touch healing where Jesus comes straight through. There's no angels involved in this. It's strictly Christ consciousness. And I give them a little blast. People shake, people. So I got really sick doing this, because I would hold somebody's hand and I would read them. I would get an instant read from birth to present in a split second. And then I could go to work and touch them where I needed to touch them. So when I got really sick, I mean, I was sick for 2 months. I mean, the flu on top of a flu on top of a cold. And it was just because people, they weren't washing their hands, whatever it was. So I complained to Spirit about it. I said, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. And they were like, excuse me? No, what? No, you're going to be doing it. Oh yeah, you're going to be doing it. And then some. I said, well, we have to make some changes then. You have to let me use my clairvoyance. I have to be able to read people in line. So they did it on a temporary basis to see how it would work. Well, it worked so well. Now I can do it all the time. So part of my gift is when I've got 10, 15 people in front of me, I just kind of look down the row and I count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And as they come up, I already know what I'm doing to them. And this one lady came up to me the first time I did it. And I said, could you turn around for me, please? And she goes, why? I said, well, if you want me to fix your lower back, you have to turn around. I can't go through your belly. And she's like, how did you know that? I was like, I read you 5 minutes ago. I mean, because that's how quick it is. It's like instant. I look at you and boom. So recently at a show that I was doing, this was in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm going to be up there in 2 weeks. This Oriental lady, I think she was Asian, very small. She kind of caught my attention. So I looked down the line. She was like the 6th one in line, and I made eye-to-eye contact with her. I don't know how this happened, but I just did. Next thing I know, I'm looking back, and her arms are flailing. They're shaking because she made contact with me and the energy, and she was so sensitive to the energy. She's standing in line, her arms are going, and everybody's like stepping away from her because they don't know what's going on. So I was like, okay, I got to speed up these few people in front of us so I can get to her before she falls down. She got into my arms and just went back. I mean, I put my hand on her heart chakra in her back, and she just right back out cold. So I was like, oh my God, you need to wake up, honey. I was like, you can't pass out on me. Come on, come on. I'm shaking her. She comes to, and I finished the healing. She's like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. And then like the next 6 people behind her, also same thing, all shaking. I don't know why that happened, but that was an interesting show. I mean, with that show, I normally come in from the back of the room and walk up to the stage. In this particular case, I don't know why I came in the front of the stage behind a curtain and I just walked up. There was 80 seats in there. They were full. I had 20 to 30 people and standing in the back. I was like, whoa. And I came in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a big audience. And when I first started doing live audience, I was terrified. I mean, if you told me I would be standing in front of audiences now where you can't even get the microphone out of my hand because I just keep babbling on and on, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, no way. There's no way. But now I've gotten over that fear. You know, Spirit helped me. Jesus helped me through it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I used to go in the bathroom and pray to him and just say, dude, I need your help. I'm terrified to go out there. And he's like, he would say, calm down, just meditate. I'm with you. I'll be with you the whole time. That gave me the confidence to go out and pick up the microphone. And the first few times I did it, it was with Natalie at her place. She started me doing the one-touch events. And it was really nerve-wracking because I had some people pass out and actually hit the floor at her place. I mean, hard. And the first, I'll never forget the first one. It was this young Black lady, and she came up. I'm like, hey, how are you? You know, and she's like, I am great. And I put my hands on her and just boom, like that. Like a sack of rocks just went down. I'm like, I'm looking on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, she just passed out. And she was very energy sensitive. And I didn't realize, you know, that I could do that. So then we had to have spotters. They had to have 2 guys up there at all times, just in case, because we did have some people that would fall back. And I still get it now, but what I've learned over the years is how to control the energy. I can cut it back if they come in too hard or too strong. I can actually filter it a little bit. And I tell them stay with me. I was like, please don't fall. I'm 65 years old now, and I'm way too old to pick you up. So if you fall, you're going down. Can't help you. So that's basically where I am right now. I mean, things are constantly shifting for me. Getting more powerful each and every healing. The last 2 days, I had some insane healings. I just did. If people want to look at my Facebook page, please do. There's a healing I did yesterday, actually, and it was in Sydney, Australia. Go figure. This is just divine timing right here, where this gentleman had demons in his house. So I thought to myself, well, you know, he's either got some mental instability or something, because it's very rare that somebody calls me and they got overrun by demons. That's what this guy was saying. And when he got online with me yesterday, I was like blown away. As soon as he got online, I could see what was going on there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you're not lying, are you? He goes, no. He goes, they've been, you know, bothering us, my family. My kids are all upset. They think I'm crazy and you need to help me. So I said, all right, well, buckle up, buddy, because this is going to be quite crazy. I already knew it was going to be nuts. And as soon as we started, I mean, Archangel Michael came in, and he came in so hard and so fast with this one, with a flaming sword. I've never seen that in my entire career. I've never channeled Michael like that. And he usually never talks to me, and he did yesterday. And he told me, he's like, this is really going to be pretty wild for you to watch. So you can close your eyes or you can watch. And I'm like, I'm going to keep my eyes open, dude. There's no way I'm not missing any of this. So, I mean, here he is doing his thing, swinging this sword like is no tomorrow. And all of a sudden he tells me, he's like, I need help with this. So he's like, I'm going to be calling in some more archangels, and 6 more archangels came in. I was shocked, and it was like a battle. It's like a war zone.
Oh my God.
It was the craziest healing I have done in my career. In the 16 years I've been doing this, that was the nuttiest one. And I'm just watching this in shock. And at the end of this half an hour, the guy gets up and he's like, wow, what was that? He's like, he had one demon that was called Stephen. And he said, Stephen was behind me telling me Well, let me back up for a second. The first thing that happened, this is the clue that I had that this might be real. My computer, the one I'm on right now, would not start. I couldn't get it hooked up. I couldn't get it to work. We got on Zoom. The camera didn't work. Then the microphone went out, and I'm like, something's crazy is going on here. So I actually yelled for my other half, and I said, "Hey, bring me my other laptop from the kitchen." And she did. She brought it in here. It's brand new. I know it works. Same problem, having problems connecting. So I was able to audio with the guy, and I said, "Hey, just hold on." I was like, something weird is going on. And I figured out later it was them messing with us.
Yeah.
They didn't want me coming in that house at all. They were terrified, and rightfully so, because we wiped them out. And at the end of that, he told me this. He said, "You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I spent over $1,000 for a healer here in Sydney, and nothing happened. I did one session with you for 30 minutes, and you just like annihilated this whole thing I've been having problems with for 5 years. They're gone, completely gone." He goes, "And by the way, Stephen was telling me in the back of my head that I wasn't going to win," meaning me. And he goes, "That's when this big, huge purple light came and just like vaporized this thing." And I'm like, "Well, that was Archangel Michael. You know, he's the one that came in strong for you." And I was like, then Jesus came in at the end and just cleaned the rest of your house. So that was like a really nutty healing that's like one of my best stories. And I made a video out of it. So if people want to hear it again, they can go onto my Facebook page and see it. It's still up.
Wow.
Facebook hasn't taken it yet. It's nuts.
Wow. So when that was happening, was he aware of what was happening? Like, was he seeing the archangels, or all he did was he felt something different?
He said that when he had his eyes closed, all he saw was flashes of colors everywhere. Blues, golds, greens, yellows. And I'm like, well, that was all the different archangels that came in to help you. I was like, I had my eyes closed, but I could visually see, I was using my third eye to see everything. And he's like, I knew something crazy was happening because I could hear them like, dying off. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, you can. I did a show recently in April of this year in Denver, Colorado. I was told by my friend Marty. Now, Marty is my protector. I'll get to her in a second. I'll tell you some really crazy stuff with Marty. But Marty told me, don't go west of the Mississippi this year. Stay out of the Western United States because there's a lot of negative energy. We're under attack right now, and they don't want you out there because it's too risky, and you may not be ready for this. So, of course, being me, I was like, I'm going. So I did this show in Denver. I was in my hotel 3 days before Denver, and all of a sudden I'm getting upgraded. When I say upgraded, it's different for me. I don't know how everyone else gets downloads, but I get really warm. I get hot. I mean, if you're sitting next to me, you're going to break out in a sweat, and it's just like a 1,000-degree oven. That's what I feel like. So for 3 days, I endured this, and I thought I was getting the flu, and I wasn't. It was just them upgrading me because they knew it was coming. So the show started on Friday. The very first person that come into my tent, demon. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And this lady was freaking out. So I had a new assistant that I've known over the years. She got a video camera out and she captured the whole thing on video. And it's scary. So when I got back from Denver, I sent this video to my marketing team. They called me within 20 minutes, terrified. And that's the word they use. Like, we are literally terrified. And I said, why? She said, well, we took the background noise out of your video that you sent, and that lady you were working on, you could hear this demon screaming in the background right next to her screams, but it was a different voice altogether. And throughout the whole thing, you could hear it. And so I said, send it to me, and I want to hear it. So she did, and I was literally terrified. I was like, oh my God, that is nuts. So I sent it to Marty, and Marty is like, absolutely 100% do not post that video. You will be completely banned from doing what you're doing. It's too scary. People are going to think it's fake. People are going to think you made it up or it's AI or something, but I'm like, it's not AI, it's the real deal. So we used pieces of the videotape and we did put it up, and people commented, wow, did we get a response? Every other person at that event either had a demon, an entity, or dark energy, and it was a battle. And when I got home, of course, Marty called the day I got home, And she's like, what did I tell you about going out to Denver? I said, I know, but it's me. She goes, I know. And she said, well, they're telling me to congratulate you. I said, for what? She said, well, they tested you. They wanted to see what you could handle, and you handled them all gracefully, beautifully. You got rid of all of them, and you didn't sweat. You didn't get scared. I don't get scared of them. I'm not afraid of them at all. I actually laugh at them and I make fun of them, then just kind of ticks them off all
Yeah,
the
I'm
time.
the same way. I'm the same way. Like I have absolute zero worry about them because
No.
first of all, I don't believe in them and I don't give them any power. And it's so interesting. That's a beautiful story. I mean, beautiful in a way of they can't win over us if we don't allow
No.
them, you know? And if you give them power and you're in fear, you're giving them the power, you know, of doing whatever to you. So it's a good story to tell.
Yes. I get them all the time. And I have people ask me all the time, some of the videos that I make for Facebook, we start talking about this stuff. Those are the ones that I have 150,000 views on because people want to know. And I tell people all the time, I was like, you really don't have to be afraid of a demon or a negative entity or anything like that. They cannot physically hurt you. Like they can't punch you in the face. They could get you to do things to harm yourself, but you just have to have, mind over matter kind of thing. You have to outsmart them, or you come and see me and I get rid of them for you. But yeah, I've been dealing with these things for years and they don't faze me the slightest, and people, I get a lot of phone calls that say, oh, I've got a demon in me. It comes every night and bothers me. And then it's more like, when I get them on a Zoom call or something, I'm like, yeah, no, you don't have anything. And you're just imagining this because it's like, I will know immediately. And I'll tell you how it works with me. As soon as I send the energy, their body will twitch uncontrollably. It's because they're trying to hide. And you can run, but you can't hide. You can't hide from the light. My job is to figure out where they went and to get them out. I mean, I literally had a lady at my home studio who had, I want to say, a dark energy, not necessarily an entity or anything bad, but she had a little piece of dark energy in her. And I felt it run right underneath my hands. I felt it like physically move my hands. I says, so we got a little visitor. I got a challenge today. Game on. Bring it. Let's see where you're going to go. So this thing was running all over the place. And she had an hour healing. So near the end of the hour, it actually came up her side, went down her right arm, and it was down in her wrist. So I knew right away. I was like, I got you. So I put my hand up on her her right shoulder, and my other hand down on her wrist, and I caught it. It was like right under my finger. She felt it pulsating like a bump. It was like a 1/2-inch bump inside her wrist. And she was like, didn't say anything. So I just sent the light there, destroyed it. And then the timer went off. So she looks at me and she goes, well, what the hell was that? And I was like, well, you had a little piece of dark energy in there and you felt, she's like, oh, I felt something whizzing around my body. I couldn't understand what it was. But I did feel that in my wrist. It was like a lump. I was like, yeah, because I caught it. That's where I trapped it. It was trapped in your arm. It couldn't escape. It couldn't escape because the light was there. I called Jesus in and he helped me destroy it. So it's that simple. But I get them all the time. Don't be afraid of them. Just call your local
Right, exactly. And so when we are the light and they are the dark, when you walk in a room and it's dark and you turn the light on, what happens to the darkness?
With me, this is just me. I don't know how everyone else sees it, but if I walk into a room and I can see they look like black shadows, almost like the black chair behind me, that's how I'll see it. It'll poke out, it'll go back. It looks like smoke. I know it immediately. As soon as I walk into a room, I could pick the people out that have dark energy or an entity or something else wrong with them. There's actually somebody very famous that I worked on recently. I guess I could throw her name out there because she's mentioned me on podcasts. Her name is Pamela Downs. Pamela's been around for a long time. Pamela went to the jungles of South America and did ayahuasca retreat. And, you got to be very careful if you do those things because you are opening up your crown chakra to anything and everything. And, well, guess where the demons and stuff hide? In the jungles. So Pamela, unfortunately, got a throat attachment on her throat chakra. For 10 years, Pamela had this on her throat chakra. I met Pamela in Washington, D.C. at a Spirit Fest event. And She just happened to come to the event for no apparent reason. She was like drawn to it, didn't understand why. She came in, and there was another podcast crew there that had just interviewed me. They knew Pamela. And when she came to say hello, they said, "Oh, you got to go down this row here and check out this angel guy." That's what they call me. This angel guy. He's amazing. Just go check him out. So she said, "Sure, I'll go look at him." And when Pamela came to my booth, she stopped dead in her tracks and she looked inside. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm signing up for this guy." So she did. And I had about an hour wait at that point. I was very busy at that show. There was a lot of negative energy and stuff at this event. So Pamela came in, she sat down, and I said, "What can I help you with?" Because, it's only a 20-minute healing. And I usually ask up front, if there's anything bothering you, I can go directly to it. And Pamela looked me square in the eye. And she said, "You know what? Let's just see what presents itself." Okay, challenge accepted. Hop on my table. As soon as I laid hands on her, her body jerked and twisted. And I was like, "Oh boy, yep, we got something really powerful in this one." And she was flipping all over the table. I mean, her body was twisting, jerking, motion. Her head rolled back, her eyes rolled back, and they were completely black. And he looked up at me. She starts cursing at me in some weird language and real curse words, F-bombs, all sorts of weird stuff coming out of her. And the funniest part of this story was right across from my booth were the Harry Krishner guys.
Yeah.
And I got to know these guys. His name is Janardon. He's a really high Janardon. Shout out to him. He's a great kid. And he was sitting in the chair watching this thing, and his eyes were just popping out of his head. He was frozen in fear. And Pamela was just kind of twisting him, all over the place. So the 20-minute timer went off, and I'm like, "Yep, no, you're not getting up yet. I got to get this out." I knew it was in her throat. And it took me almost an hour to get rid of it. I pulled it out, got rid of it. Pamela was beside herself. She came back on Sunday, the next day, and said, "I think you might have missed a little bit because I still got something in my throat." So sure enough, she was right. I did. I missed a little piece of this thing. So I got it out. Think the story's over? No, it's not. I get a call 2 months later from Pamela. She's like, "I think this thing is back." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me." So I said, "Did you do anything like ayahuasca?" And she goes, No. She goes, "Oh, last weekend I had some wine with my husband and somebody was passing a joint around. I took a couple of hits." And I'm like, bingo. So I didn't have Zoom set up at this point. I asked her, I said, "Do you have an iPhone?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, let's FaceTime. Let me see what I can do on a FaceTime call." So she did. And as soon as she got on the call, I was like, whoa, I was taken back. I was like, I seen this big black thing behind her. I'm like, "Oh, honey, let's get right into this because you got something. I can see it." And it took me about 40 minutes to get rid of it. And Pamela was so taken back that about a year ago, this was going back 2 years, Pamela gives me a shout out on Emilio Ortez's podcast for about 4 minutes. And Emilio goes, "Wow, big shout out for this guy, Patrick, the Angelic Healer." And when he said those words, my phone started ringing and it didn't stop for 4 months. That's how I got into doing Zoom calls. I was actually forced into it. That's a true story. And Pamela has given me so much work over the last year. I mean, most of her clients come to me. It's a great relationship that we have, but that's a true story. I mean, this just goes to show you it's so dangerous when you go out and do like this ayahuasca stuff. You got to be so careful. You got to make sure these people that are doing it are protecting you and making sure that none of this negative stuff gets attached. Because, I mean, here's someone like Pamela Downs, who's in our industry. She works with healers. None of them could get rid of this thing. And she found me and wham, I got rid of it in less than an hour. And it was all good. So just goes to show you.
I've done ayahuasca twice. But I noticed you haven't said anything that anything's hanging out behind me. So I'm going to assume good.
No, I've worked on you before, so I already know that you're clean as a whistle.
Good. Very good. I have a lot of protectors, so I'm glad to hear they're doing their job.
There you go. Yeah, I've got nothing against doing it. I mean, if you want to do it, fine. A lot of people find enlightenment with it. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. I'm kind of boring. I pray a lot. That's about it. But I wouldn't never do it because I don't like losing my faculties, and it's just not something I do.
Well, back in the day when I did it, I didn't even know what I was doing. All I know is that people were having transformational experiences in their lives
Hmm.
and had a lot of healing. So I was like, oh, I want to heal for sure. So I did it twice. The second time was on an insistence on a friend. And I was like, okay, well, I'm the kind of person that I flow with what the universe sends me. And if somebody says you have to be there, then I'm like, okay, I guess I have to go. So so it was kind of that more than anything else. But again, I'm grateful that nothing happened. And
Yes.
yeah, so have you seen that happen with mushrooms as well, or is it just pot
I
and
I mean,
ayahuasca?
personally, I think any kind of mind altering thing that you do, you're probably going to be opening up your crown chakra to anything that's around. You got to be careful. I mean, I went to Sedona once and I caught an entity because I sat on top of one of those mountains and did a meditation and I forgot to protect myself.
No way.
Yep. And when I got back from Sedona, I saw Marty and Marty took one look at me and she's like, "Oh my God, you got an entity inside you. Sit down right now. Like you're getting it out." And she did. She got it out of me. And I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even realize." And when I told her what I did, she's like, you forgot to protect yourself. You know, you got to call in Archangel Michael and do the whole cocoon your energy stuff. And I didn't do it. Well, guess what? I do it now twice a day. I do it when I get up in the morning before I get on Zoom, and I do it at night before I go to bed. I don't miss
Okay.
ever.
And so people know how to protect themselves. Can you tell us what to do?
Yes. Now this is my own way of doing it, and I wasn't taught this. I just developed it. So I invoke Archangel Michael. I ask him to come in and protect me and cocoon me with his bright white light. Wrap that energy around my head and my feet. That's very, very important. A lot of people forget the feet, especially because that's how things can get into your meridians. And then I tell him to take his mighty sword and shield and tap the four corners of my house and protect it. Don't let anything in and don't let anything out. In my case, I don't want anything getting out. If there is something in my house, I'm going to destroy it myself because that would really irritate me. Because, this is, you have to tell the, entities, this is my sanctuary. You're not allowed here. This is my home. You need to leave. And they will. They usually abide, but I always use Archangel Michael. So when I do my healings, I do the exact same thing. I invoke him. I say, please cocoon my workspace, and close me and my client and protect the connection from like here to say Sydney, Australia. I want that whole connection protected. And I go through rituals. I say some prayers. I say good morning, like it's in this order. And it's going to sound weird. It's Archangel Michael is always first. Raphael is always second because these are the two angels I work with all the time. Jesus is always third. Father is fourth. And actually Mother Mary is last. And then I invoke all the archangels to sit around and protect my home while I'm channeling because I want that extra protection. And I do it every single day. Every single healing. I do the same thing over and over and over again. And now what I do when I start, I just invoke Archangel Michael first and I make the connection and it's instantaneous. When I first started doing the Zoom calls, I got a call from Marty and she was like, she knew I was doing them and she's like, well, how are you doing? I said, good. She goes, you want me to connect you? And I'm like, sure. So the first thing that Spirit said was congratulations. And I'm like, for what? They're like, well, you're the first person that we've ever worked with that, well, here's what Jesus said first. He said to me, my energy is boundless. I can go at any point on the globe. Your job is to be the GPS and point me in the right direction and make the connection. Okay, great. No one taught me how to do it. I had no idea how to do it. I just used my own intuitiveness. And now I got it down to a system where I can connect with you no matter where you are. You could be in Cape Town, South Africa. It takes me seconds, not minutes, not 10 minutes. It's seconds. I visually see the energy shoot out from Sarasota, Florida, go across the stratosphere, drop into Cape Town, and boom, I nail you. And when I do, I have a ritual where I send it out and I connect and then I suck it back in and it just goes pop and boom, we're connected. And I'll open my eyes and I'll see the rapid eye movement on the client and I know I've got them. I've got the connection. And then I go to work. It's really that simple. It really is.
Wow.
So
Wow. Amazing. I did not realize that you were battling demons out there. I thought you were healing people, like,
it's all part of healing.
of stuff, but this is like, wow, that's amazing because, I'm sure that there's some people out there that are scared of taking care of demons and stuff like that. And
Yes.
if you're scared of them, you can't help people. You can't
No.
be scared of.
No, and it's really interesting. The first time I did one, it wasn't too long ago. I didn't really understand what it was. And it was actually on a friend of mine here in Sarasota. She got on my table. I invited her over for healing. I wasn't charging her. We were friends. And during the healing, all of a sudden, her body like tensed up. Like her back started to arch and her arms started to tense up and she started shaking. And I'm like, I'm talking to spirit. I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, oh, well, this is your first one. Get ready. I was like, ready for what? And they explained to me like she picked up an entity. It wasn't even a demon. It was just an entity. And I kept asking them like, what do I do? What do I do? And they're like, just stay on her crown chakra and we'll do the rest. We'll get rid of it for you. I said, okay. Took about 20 minutes. And then her body relaxed. And I kept asking spirit, like, are we done? Did we get it? And they're like, yes, you did. Congratulations, your first one. And I kept saying, like, well, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, she had an entity and ask her how she got it. And she'll tell you. So when she came to, the first thing she did was look up at me and she was like, what the heck was that? She's like, I felt that. Like my body was doing things that I didn't want it to do. I was like, well, let me ask you a question first before I answer that. What did you do in the last week that you caught this thing? Well, she had gone to some kind of activation class with someone who I knew. And this girl was opening up channels that she didn't know what she was doing and inviting in all sorts of dark energies. And I did one of her meditations where she tried to tap into me and I just opened my eyes. I looked up at her and I went, no, 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 no. Get your hands off me. Because I knew. And as soon as she said that she went to this girl's thing, I said, well, there you go. I was like, she put it in you, not knowing. Thank you very
Oh
much.
my gosh.
Yeah. So you do have to be careful. There's I don't like to talk bad about anybody out there. It's just not my thing. But if you're going to decide to do something with someone like a medium or something, look into them a little bit, do some research, make sure that they're the real deal, make sure that they're protecting you while you're there. I mean, don't take any unnecessary chances or you'll be making an appointment with me.
Oh my gosh. So how can you tell people, how can they be informed of if possibly they have an attachment or a demon?
Mhm.
Chances are, I think attachments are more um, happen more than demons, in my opinion. But you're the expert. I don't know. But
Yes.
how can they tell? Oh my God, something's up. I need
So
it.
a lot of times when people, let's start with like just a dark energy. Most people don't even know that they have a dark energy. They just
Right.
get
That's
in
why
there
I'm
and
asking.
they kind of wreak havoc. You may not feel good or you might just notice a mood change. There's your sign. People that get entities, that's a little bit different because entities are pretty powerful and they can really mess with you. They're all about like getting in and just wreaking havoc with your body. I mean, you might feel like pain in certain areas of your body that just appear out of nowhere. Well, that's because they're working on you. They're trying to do things to make you uncomfortable. When it gets into demons, that's a whole different ballgame. I mean, you're going to know if you got one of them because they're going to scare you. They're going to play with your mind. They're going to play tricks on you. There's a lot of other things out there too, like things I call tricksters. I have
Yeah.
people that have tricksters inside of them. They come to my booth and they mess with me. And I'm like, ho, 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 ho. You picked the wrong booth today. Because I'll get right in their face and I'll get on them, And I had a guy in Syracuse, New York. This happened to me where Trickster came to my booth. I had gone to the bathroom real quick and my girlfriend was there and he was talking to her. And when I walked up, she looked at me and she was like, there's something not right with this guy. I get a really bad feel with this guy. So I said, who? And she said, this guy. He was sitting on my table and he popped up, he got right in my face and he just started talking to me like, talking down to me. And I'm like, so why are you here? And I kept looking at him in the face. The more I made eye contact with him, the more his head started moving around like this. And the next thing I know, his shoulders are like, he's getting all gimped up. And I knew right away, like, this guy's a trickster. He kept telling me, I could do what you do, but I can do it better. I was like, really? Well, you want to challenge me? Get on the table. And every time he said something negative to me, I had a response for him. And then he tried to circle around my girlfriend at the time, and I blocked him, from doing so. I was like, no, you focus on me. Look at me. And every time he could barely even look in my eyes because they're so piercing. I mean, I was just like melting this guy from the inside out. And finally he gave up. He walked away. And then when he left, he had to walk by my tent. He looked the opposite direction. I saw him, like I had my eyes closed, and Spirit immediately warned me, like, he's coming back. So I opened my eyes and I looked right at him, but he just kept walking. So if you do have a demon in you, you will know immediately because it's a life-altering thing. The lady I was talking to you about earlier in Denver, she said she knew that she had this thing in her for 10 years.
Oh my
10
God.
years. Yep. Couldn't get rid of it. She's like, I've been to so many different healers and shamans and all sorts of stuff. I've prayed, I've tried, I can't get rid of it. She's like, you knocked the thing right out. This lady was so funny. She was bringing me, it was a 3-day event. She came back that afternoon bringing me gifts. She came back on Saturday, brought me more gifts. She came back on Sunday, brought me more gifts, all sorts of stuff. I mean, copper rings for your head, towels. I mean, all sorts of wild stuff. She was so grateful that I got rid of this thing for her. She's like, I can't believe you were able to do that in the amount of time that you had. Brought her boyfriend back and I gave him a healing. He was like, wow, I feel great. So I have like a million stories. I'm in the process of writing a book right now. I just started it, and it's going to start from like my childhood right through to how I became an angelic healer. And the stories now I keep a book. I keep notes on every healing that I do. And the crazy ones are the ones that I'm going to put in the book because they're just insane. I tell people all the time, go to my website. Like if they come to an event and they're not sure, they're thinking about it. I always do this. I hand them a card. I said, look at the back. There's a QR code. Scan that QR code. Look at my website. Look at the reviews. Look at the testimonials. And then look at the video testimonials. And it speaks for itself. They always come back in like 10 minutes ago. I'd like to sign up for a healing, please.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm sorry. Did you tell me how people should protect? I might have missed it.
So protection, yes. I mean, it's very simple for people to just invoke Archangel Michael for protection. I mean, hey, look, I was raised a Roman Catholic. I consider myself a recovering Catholic. I do not go to church. I don't believe in a lot of stuff that the church does. But I don't think there's any real bad religions. Religions are just to indoctrinate people into their control system. That's how I look at it. So there's really no bad ones. And if you have ways of praying to your God, whoever that might be, do so and protect yourself. I mean, the angels are everywhere. I think most religious genres believe in angels, and Archangel Michael is very real. I can assure you that. An interesting fact is Archangel Michael was actually assigned to me at birth to protect me. And he has. I shouldn't be here. I have cheated death over 20 times, and I'm dead serious about that. I mean, I have been in like horrific accidents and all sorts of things. I've had guns pointed at me. I've been shot at, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just gives you, you got to have that faith, man. If you believe, they'll protect you.
Well, that's the key, right? Is belief.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
actual belief. I mean, I'm personally myself, I've never believed in demons because I know if I believe in them, then they'll be part of my reality. And I'm not interested in them being in my reality. So I don't believe in them. But
Right.
unfortunately, when people do believe in them, that's when, they might start showing up because you believe that they exist.
True.
So,
You don't want to attract anything like that. I get it completely. I mean,
yeah.
I did a one-touch program once in Florida here. I think it was actually in Sarasota at an event. And I had a gentleman look at me square in the face, and he goes, I didn't feel anything. And I looked back at him. I went, I'm so sorry, sir. Have a nice day. What can I tell you? So it bothered me because I'm like probably one of the most honest guys you'll ever meet in your life. I mean, I was raised right. My dad was an attorney. I mean, I grew up in a Catholic family. We always did the right thing. We never did anything bad to anybody. So when that guy said it to me, it bothered me a lot. I was like, man, the guy probably thinks I'm a phony baloney. So of course I called one of my very heavy medium friends and I'm like, need to talk to spirit, can you hook me up? They're like, yeah. So they pull everybody in and I'm like, okay, so I get Jesus here. And I'm like, I got to ask you this question. Why is it that some people get the energy from you and some don't? And by the time that word don't came out of my mouth, he was already answering me. It was very quick. Non-believers.
Like, there you
what?
go.
He goes, non-believers. He's like, we're not going to waste our energy on anyone that doesn't believe in me. It's just not going to happen. So I thought about it for a second and I said, hold on a second. Let me run this by you. He said, what is it? I said, what if you gave me the power and the ability to startle or stun a person and make a believer out of them with your energy and with your permission, of course? He said, give me a moment. He went and met with Father. He comes back 3 minutes later. He goes, Father said resoundingly, no, not happening. However, I have the ability to do whatever I want, as you know, and I'm going to say yes. So he said, we're going to have a little experiment. He goes, you got a show coming up in St. Pete in 2 weeks? I said, yep. He goes, I'm going to give you the ability to shake, rattle, and roll anybody that comes in your path at that event, anyone, and make a believer out of them. I was like, you're on, brother, because I love a challenge. So the show comes, and it's at the St. Pete Forum. And there's like a second level, and it's a big open atrium type of a building, but there's a second, like a loft, so to speak. And I go up in this loft and I'm doing my thing. And it comes time to have everybody come up. Now I have two of my best friends in the audience. They're sitting in the front row about 6 seats away from me. Name is Mark and Jill, my best buds. And all of a sudden I look down after like the third or fourth person, and Mark and Jill are nowhere to be found. So I caught up with them later and they told me why. I'll tell you in a sec. So there was this guy at the very end. He was like 6'5", looked like a lumberjack. This guy was huge, and he was a big Italian guy. And he kind of scared me when he came up. He had this look on his face, and he's like, yeah, what are you going to do? So I was like, come here, guy. I put my hand on his heart chakra. As soon as I touched him, Jesus came in like so hard. This guy bursted into tears. I put my second hand behind his back on the back of his heart chakra and just sandwiched it. And I was vibrating so hard that my legs were shaking. He was crying the whole time. People in the audience were like stunned. Like, this guy was huge. And I stopped, and the guy looks at me. He's in tears. He's just crying hysterically. And he's like, I can't believe what you just did. Was that Christ energy? I was like, yeah, it's pure love. How do you like it? He's like, I got to hug you. So this guy hugs me. I thought he was going to pop my head off. I was, all right, I'm tapping out. I'm like, okay, Dad, it's okay, buddy. Let go now. He was like shaking. So Jesus is laughing in the background. He goes, hey, you proved your point. I said, thank you very much. I was like, can you at least let me do that from now on? He said, of course, we're going to let you. So that's how I got to do the One Touch program. It was all based on that event.
Okay. Wow.
So I'll give you another classic example. Denver. I did a late speaking at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, which is not a good time for me. It's usually better in the morning. So I go in there, and there's probably only about 15 people in the audience. And I was like, ooh, there's not that many people in here. So I usually, once I turn on the entry flows, people just start coming from everywhere. So I waited for that. I did my speak, and, I invited people up. Excuse me. And not too many people were coming up. They were very skeptical. And I'm like, maybe it's because of the energy out here. I'm out west. Nobody knows who I am here. So I'm talking to Spirit, and I'm going, all right, what's going on? They're like, we'll send someone to you right now. So they did. This guy comes around the curtain. He walks up, an older gentleman. He was about 75 years old. He walks up to me, and I look at him, and I was like, hi, how you doing? And I knew immediately what to do. I put my hand on his heart chakra, put my hand on his back. This guy starts crying his eyes out. And I held him for probably about 3 or 4 minutes, probably a little longer than I should have. And I stopped. And as he's walking away, I reached around and grabbed that microphone. I said, sir, wait a second. I looked at the audience and I said, okay, who could tell me what I just did? Lady raised her hand. Well, you put your heart. Great. So everybody knows I put my hand right on his heart chakra immediately when he walked in here. And I'm going to have the person tell you why. I said, sir, tell the audience why I did that. And he looked me square in the eye and he said, because I just had open heart surgery 2 weeks ago, brother. And you just made me feel like $1,000,000. I was like, yes. Everybody got up at that point and came up. I made a believer out of him. So sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's energetically. It just doesn't matter.
Wow. What beautiful. I just love it. Jeff, do you have any questions for Patrick?
Oh, I do, as a matter of fact. I've never laughed so much. And when I say laugh, a joyous laugh, because for the very first time, I've met someone from America who's the genuine, heartfelt person who I've just eloquently taken along for the ride, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's brought so much natural humor to our conversation today. I also want to make out that this is our third attempt to have the show with you today, Patrick.
Yes,
I'm
and a very busy man.
I know it's not only that, but the fact is that when we started there, Elisa blocked me because we were getting some energetic feedback, which is very rare. And so when I was listening to you about the issue with your laptop, and I thought, yeah, that'd be right. We're actually trying to get the word out and show people that there are people got gifts, and one of them is naturally you there in Florida, who's traveling to Denver, everybody, Arizona, and of course to North Carolina, and you're getting out and about. So it brought a smile to my face to realize that it's very genuine to have you on the show, and I've laughed at some of those events because I can visualize that. I can actually see that happening, and seen that happen in other areas. I have to say, one thing that really struck me was relationships. Now, okay, so I'm talking as a male, and you have a female come into your life, and you mentioned now you've got a former wife, and now you've got a girlfriend. Do you find that when you get people coming to you, do you find that there's an energetic pattern that's evolved between the male and females who've come together? And when
with me,
I know
with
when they
me, absolutely.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, with me, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because I'm full of energy. So I was single for a long time. I just met someone recently about 2 months ago, and I think Spirit sent her to me because it was I don't want to say love at first sight, but it was energy connection at first sight. We just connected energetically, and it's been terrific.
So when you've actually had previously boyfriend, girlfriend, energetically, and then they split out, do you find that there's still a trace element that comes through? Because I noticed on my walk this morning, I went back a couple of girlfriends, and it was really strong energetically coming in, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? So is that because someone is energetically sending some thoughts or aspirations or like to get back together, and you're just empathetically picking it up?
It's interesting you bring that up. I will say this. 3 girlfriends ago, I met this woman. I was at a spiritual event, and she walked in. I did not know who she was, and she sat down right across from me, like to my left side. And I turned to look at her to say hello, and we locked eyes, and I immediately started crying. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? She starts crying. We couldn't unlock our eyes. We just stared at each other. And eventually it hit me. And I looked at her, a total stranger. And I looked at her and I was like, welcome back. You and I have walked together. You and I have had relationships before. And you and I are going to have a relationship right now. And she was floored. She couldn't believe it. So she waited till the end of this program and sat outside and talked to me. And we were about 15 years apart. You know, I'm kind of a big dude, a little heavy. I got a little beer belly. You know, she was thin and in perfect shape. And we talked for about an hour and a half. And she said to me, she goes, I watched you walk away. And she goes, then I turned around to look at you and you turned around to look at me at the same time. She goes, and I knew right then and there you were going to be my man. And we did. We were together for 6 years. And she had this really uncanny knack of feeling my energy when I was near. Like she would call me sometimes and she's like, are you almost home? And I'm like, yeah, why? She goes, I feel you. Like I could feel your energy getting closer. So it's interesting how that works. I've had some really deep energy connection with this particular lady, and I missed that. I haven't had it with anybody else. And it turns out when I asked Spirit about her, she was from another country, and we have had relationships in the past. And what they told me was that she's a lesson for me to learn, and I haven't learned yet. So she keeps coming back into my life. Now, she was born and raised in Argentina. How in the heck did she find me in Florida? That's what I want to know. So somehow we crossed paths, and it was just meant to be. It's always interesting how I meet people and how long they last. And, you know, Jesus laughed at me when I asked him, I was like, why do I have all these relationships? He's like, it's you. You're never going to be settled down. You're never going to settle for just one. I hope my current girlfriend's not listening to this. She's not going to be happy about that.
So when someone is sending loving thoughts to you, or, you know, you might get, oh, someone just walked over my grave, or, you know, you get the goosebumps and all that stuff. Say that, go back to that relationship you've just spoke about. When that person steps away from you and you can really feel at a loss, you know, you've just lost, but you've, how do I explain it? Well, I tell you that the experience I felt was I went from being a 60-year-old man to a 16-year-old boy with his first girlfriend. And it was just amazing energy pattern to feel that I'd walk over water, I'd walk over hot coals, I'd do anything for that particular woman. And so,
right.
And then it's just, it's a real heartbreaker when
it is.
Members of
but
the family.
There's always a lesson. There's always a lesson in there for you. That's how you have to look at it. Yeah. And my lesson was stop dating narcissistic women, because she was a covert narcissist. And, you know, I had to do the whole therapy thing after her. She destroyed me. I mean, I was heartbroken over the breakup, and, you know, she actually broke up with me, and it was over jealousy. It was really silly. She was really jealous of one of my very good friends. And, we were out and having dinner, and we had some drinks, and I don't drink anymore, but back then, my friend kissed me on the mouth, and that did it for her. She was just went ballistic. And I'm like, but I've known her for years. It's like, it's okay. She had a little too much to drink. I pushed her back. It was fine. But that did it. And I know she regrets it, because, you know, she thought I was going to come running after her like I always did, but I decided not to. I had learned my lesson. Sure. So that's how I look at relationships. There are always lessons in your life. They're always there for a reason. You know, my ex-wife was put in my life so I could have the children that I have. And, you know, now they don't talk to me.
But you took to that reader, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, she introduced you to Richard. Hey, well, I got taken back when the guy Tom said you couldn't charge, and that really kicked my energetically for me personally. I thought to myself, I get that all the time. You know, you could be a mechanic, you could be an electrician, you're a plumber. You know, you're providing a service, and you can't charge because you've been given this gift.
Yep, I get that all the time.
Yeah,
that's a big one. On our website, we get so many negative comments that we have auto replies now, and we do get a lot of people that say, "Oh, Jesus never charged," and I answer them back this way. I say, "Well, Jesus worked for fish and bread, but that doesn't pay the bills that we have today." Because I had this conversation with Spirit a long time ago, and they told me this: you're exchanging your energy for money energy. Think of it that way. It's an energy exchange, and it's okay to do. Don't get greedy. And they told me that, you know, there's going to be a time where I'm going to be charging a lot of money for what I do, and, you know, wealthier people are going to come and take advantage of that, but don't squander your gift just for that, or they'll take it away. They're very serious about this too. And my response to that was, hey, look, you don't have to really worry about it, because if that does happen, um, that would be great. I will be the first person to walk inside of a church free of charge with a whole congregation at the end and say, hey, everybody, you know who I am. If you want a healing, step up. And oh, by the way, I'm going to put a bucket right here for cash donations. And guess what? That's all going to go back to your pastor and your church, not me. I'm not making a dime on this. Is for you. So if you want to do that, and they agreed. So, and I also say, hey, the people that say that to me, if you would like to sponsor me and pay my bills, pay my mortgage, pay my house, pay everything, I'm happy to do them for free in your name.
Yeah.
Dead silence every time. So I don't worry about charging. It's just, it's like Reiki people, they're pulling energy out of the universe, and they charge. I mean, they should get paid for their time. They're good. We need more healers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the same issue as well when I started. I didn't want to charge because I had a full-time job that paid me very well. So I was like, no, I'm doing this for free. But then I found out that had to do with self-worth, and that I didn't feel worthy of that. But I also had this saying too, that it was like, whenever I was doing something for humanity, I always felt that I would rather the person not pay me and let the universe pay me, because the universe will pay you way more than that person can, right? So somebody can, let's say they can afford $50. I'm like, no, let the universe pay me. That's going to be like 10 times more than what you're paying me. So it's just, but when it comes to us in the beginning of our journey, it's definitely about self-worth and not wanting to charge, because, it's kind of a self-worth thing. But once you realize that you are worthy, then everything changes. So,
yes. And with the way I look at it is, I don't think there's anyone else doing exactly what I'm doing at the level that I'm doing it. I have a lot of friends in this field. I'm friends with Ken Lloyd and, all sorts of higher up mediums, and they all look at me and go, Pat, you're not charging enough money. I'm like, well,
right.
what do you want me to charge? Like, well, you should be charging double what you're getting. I'm like, yeah, but then the average Joe can't afford it. Like right now, I had a sale going all of July. I knocked off like 35% off of the cost. And I was busy because people were like, thank you so much for doing that, because I couldn't afford your regular rate. And I'm like, well, that's why I do it. That's why I do the shows on the road, because they're even cheaper. And I do it just because I have a love for helping people. But what people don't realize is how much actual free work I do.
Right. That's true.
I have hundreds of clients that I don't charge a dime for. Even this weekend at the show, I did 4 free healings. And I only did probably about 18 healings altogether. So do the math. I mean, those were, they were beautiful people. I felt compelled to do them for free. One of them actually gave me a beautiful testimonial. It was an older woman. She was a nurse, and she was a chosen one. I could tell. I looked at her hands. So she had the M. She had the healer lines. I think I mentioned it earlier. And I was like, your money is no good here. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm going to pay you. And I'm like, no, you're not. It's your karma. It's coming back to you beautifully.
The Dharma. The Dharma is
I mean, you did your thing and you helped all these people, and now it's time for someone to help you. And that's me. You're looking at it. So enjoy the healing. And she did.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, I actually have that M on my right hand. Now, you said something about an A on the left.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to figure out from you what that means. But I have the M on the right. So can't wait to figure out if I have the A on the left.
Mine is very prominent. You could see it, and it actually looks as it says LA. But it's very strong. I actually had a palm reader show it to me once, and then I saw a video about the M, because a lot of people have M's on their hands, and from what I was told, That was Jesus who put those M's there before you incarnated back on this earth plane, because you have an assignment to do. Most people figure it out. They're not going to tell you what it is. You have to figure it out on your own.
Right.
Just like I was supposed to be a healer, and you do what you do, and so forth. But yeah, I mean, this nurse was a nurse, and she told me a very interesting story, and I'll share with you real quick. She said when she was like 5 or 6 years old, her mom took her to a church, and she had to talk to the priest about something. And so a sister came out and said, "I'll watch the child for you." And she sat down with this woman, and she put her hand on her shoulder. And this woman said, "All I saw was like this golden light around this nun." And she said to me, "What do you want to do with your life? And what would you like to do for to make a living?" And the little girl answered, "I want to help people." And the nun looked at her and said, "And so you will." And that was it. Took her hand off. Mom came back out. She never saw that nun again, and she went into a life of nursing. So you never know.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have just enjoyed so much our conversation. I'm sure that we were meant to meet, as everybody in my life as they come. And it's funny. Ever since this has started, I've been hosting this. It just seems like it's just amazing that how people end up in my life, and just always grateful to be trusted to have the right people here. And so I'm grateful that you came over and talked to me, and that we were able to
Yes.
have you on. So thank you so
I
much.
actually recognized you right away when you came into the beach that day. I looked over and I went, "I know that lady somewhere." And I knew your name was like Elise or Eliza or something
Yeah.
with an E. And then when you said, "Oh yeah, it's Eliza," I was like, "Oh, okay, I know who you are."
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
think you didn't answer my friend request, so I don't know. I should be a little pissed off at you right now.
Oh, you did? I'm not a big Facebook person. I don't go in there a lot. But
Yeah, no, it's all
yeah,
good. It's all good.
yeah, yeah,
Now you know me.
absolutely.
You got my number, so you can call me anytime.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you. I just hope that you continue to help humanity the way that you do. And I'm always so
Absolutely.
grateful for that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Thank
grateful.
you. Thank you for having me on. This was great. I had a great time.
Good. Excellent.
It's awesome. Jeffrey, it was nice to meet you too.
Yeah, love you. Love your work. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.